So, tough start for the Raiders. Ryan, what are your thoughts on Jon Gruden so far, and especially how he's handling the media and being pretty outspoken?
Jon Gruden has absolutely forgot that he's no longer in the booth, right? He's analyzing the Oakland Raiders every time you ask him a question. It's not your job. Your job is to protect your players. Your job is to make sure these guys know that the coach has their back, and Jon Gruden has not done a good job of that when addressing the media and also just being so public about what he feels about his quarterback. And that's crazy to me.
It's amazing. Teams that have Marshawn Lynch on them have thrown 4 passes from the 1-yard line. 2 of them have been intercepted.
Right.
None of them have been touchdowns. It's obviously more a coincidence than anything else. But the observation I made about the Raiders watching them this weekend when they just got destroyed by the Chargers is they have so many people whose names you know and associate with being good that it's hard to accept the simple fact they're a bad football team. And when you watch them play, they're as bad as anybody in the league. The refs gave them their only win against Cleveland.
Listen,
they should be winless.
This team isn't connected. There's no chemistry. You look at the individual pieces and you say to yourself, at least offensively, this team should be productive. This team should be able to move the ball. They should be able to score points. But if every week Jon Gruden has to come in and indict his quarterback or talk about his quarterback play when you took the job because of this guy. How many times did we hear in the offseason, we have a franchise quarterback. I'm here because of Derek Carr. And then when you call a pass on the 1-yard line, instead of giving it to Marshawn Lynch, you talk about the way that Derek Carr is now forcing the ball and trying too hard. This team has to find a way to get on the same page. Guys like Amari Cooper, who are top 5 draft picks and uber talented, have to find ways to produce. And as a coaching staff, you have to find a way to make these guys play better.
What do you think players in that Raiders locker room really think about Jon Gruden?
Well, it was funny. I was watching the show yesterday, and Greeny and Jalen at the same time pointed to Rex and said,
Rex
you were the most dominant personality on your team.
Which he was.
I feel like you can't be a good team that way. You can't be a good team when your coach is the biggest star. And not the biggest star necessarily in the way that he produces. The biggest star, the guys that people want to talk to, the people that you run to for sound bites. You can't be that way. That has to be your players. That has to be your quarterback. So if every week it's about you, that means your team isn't producing in the way that it does, and it's difficult. Now, over time, the team gets used to it. Right. And you're like, you know what? That's coach. This is how it works. But right now, I think it's a difficult transition for the Raiders.
It's easier to get used to.
I also wonder, those guys in that locker room know how good Khalil Mack was, right? I mean, the rest of the world is now realizing, hold on a minute, he's even better than we thought he was with what he's done in Chicago. But those guys know. Did he lose that locker room a little bit by not making the Khalil Mack thing happen?
It's not about not making the deal happen. It's your arrogance in the way you didn't make it happen. It's saying, oh, don't forget, this guy didn't want to be on our team.
Right.
Or not reaching out to him. And, you know, and putting it on McKenzie, the GM, and saying, well, that was his job. No, bro. They paying you $100 million. You have a say in everything that goes on with this organization. So if you wanted Khalil Mack there, you could have reached out. You could have talked to him and said, hey, Khalil, we are trying to get this done. You are important to this team. And when you don't do that for your best player, for a franchise player, the locker room feels that. And that's why Bruce Irvin and Derek Carr tweet the things that they tweet when it happens, because there's more allegiance to Khalil Mack than there is Jon Gruden.